pussy in no face with style and grace. A wreck where he direct, got flair and taste. Holds no drop crowd when he in the mix. In a throwback jersey and custom kicks.
I see everywhere people sitting around bored. There's no sports. It's probably going to run out of like new shows that have been shot. I'm addicted to 90 Day Fiancé. With my mom every Sunday we watch it. I got addicted to it while I was hospitalized. My mom told me about it, so I started watching it. It's like a train wreck. Every couple is a train wreck. It's pretty amazing. So I just saw a commercial where they're doing a quarantine thing with these couples because I imagine there's gonna be a lot of shows coming out about quarantine. The characters on TV being quarantined and doing their own like cell phone videos or whatever. Well, I actually started one called Quarantined and Horny for Alterotic, where we put out a press release asking models from around the world to send us videos, sending us solo videos and videos of them talking about their tattoos for the YouTube channel. And so far it's been a great success. We've gotten like a ton of responses. We have a girl from Ukraine, a girl from the UK, we have a girl from Australia, one from Las Vegas. There's so many girls sending this stuff in. So it's been a pretty successful project, and I actually came up with a new name for it today and got the domain name, hopefully. It's going to be pretty amazing. So my quarantine has been very productive, very creative. My leg's been healing, so everything's been going really well. But for all these people that are bored, I figured, man, let me do like a cool podcast that's something people will listen to and be entertained by, because most people in the world never experienced this. So I figured I'm going to do one about escorting. I work in the adult industry, obviously, and I work with a bunch of girls that escort. So here's my escort, prostitute, hooker, lady of the night podcast. Just one of many podcasts I want to do about this, probably because I have a ton of stories. I'm not going to mention any names because there's no reason for that. The stories just stand on their own. I'll tell you one of the more funnier ones. I share all the time on set, and I don't mention the girl's name, but like she's completely fine with me mentioning her name. I just choose not to, because you never know. Like she might be fine with it now, but later in life, like, why did we share this story with my name? So she was one of the girls I was traveling with, and we were on the East Coast in the hotel room. And usually, girls that travel, if they escort, they'll line up a client or two or three or four or however many clients. You know, I mean, you might as well, if you're having a trip somewhere, might as well make it a business trip. If it's already a business trip, double dip. Why not, right? So, whoever I'm traveling with, I'm either in a different room or in a different section of the room, or we get two beds. In this particular hotel room, we had two beds. So it was actually pretty funny. What happened was, I didn't know she had a client lined up. So she tells me, she's like, hey, I have a client coming in a little bit. And I'm just like, wait a minute. What do you want me to do? I'm like, you want me to just go? This hotel was like pretty shady hotel. So there's like literally nowhere to go. So I'm like making a joke. I go, what if I hide under my blankets? And she's like, yeah, whatever, that's not going to work. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you guys going to be like banging on my fucking bed? And she's like, no. She goes like, we're going to be on our bed, but we're going to do it on my sheets. So then, when we're done, I could like take not the sheets, like the blanket, then I could take the blanket off and, and not have cooties on it, like hooker cooties on it. So we're just making jokes. I'm like, what if I hide behind my bed? And then when it's almost over, I jump out and I'm like, surprise! You get two for the price of one. So we're like laughing about this. And there's a knock on the door. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, go in the bathroom. Just go in the bathroom and be quiet. So I go in the bathroom. She closes the door behind me. I hear him walk in. And he asks her if he can use the bathroom. And she's like, no, babe, it's too dirty. I'm embarrassed. Don't. And he's like, I really need to use your bathroom. She's like, no, can you not use the bathroom? He's like, no, I really have to use your bathroom. So she's like, hold on, let me just go clean it up. She runs in the bathroom. And she's like, she puts the finger up to her mouth like, shh, be quiet. She's like, jump in the tub, And so I jump in the tub. She takes all these towels and throws them on top of me. So now I'm sitting in this tub, towels on top of me. She closes the shower curtain. So I'm like, oh shit. And she steps out of the bathroom and he walks in. So now she's standing in the doorway trying to distract him so he won't look back and see me in the shower, hiding in the shower. And she's just talking to him. She's flirting with him. And he goes, excuse me. And he closes the door. So now it's just me and him in this small bathroom. And as you know, like some of the showers with curtains in the bathrooms halfway up, they're transparent. So I guess if you're standing, you could like look out the shower curtain and look in the mirror for whatever reason. I have no idea. But I'm sitting there in the tub. My ass is soaking wet because she just took a shower. So the tub is still wet. Now I got towels all over me. I'm holding my phone and I'm hoping it doesn't vibrate in my hand. I'm hoping I don't sneeze. I don't fart. I don't breathe heavy. I don't move and make some noise. I'm sitting there in the tub. She's trying to talk to him through the door to keep him distracted. And all of a sudden he starts taking a piss. Now I'm thinking, if this dude takes a shit, I'm going to die in here. Luckily he was just taking a piss. She's talking to him. And I'm looking up at the curtain and I could see the back of his head. He's right up against the curtain. All he had to do was turn around and he would see me and the shit would hit the fan. So he finished taking a piss. And, he cleans himself up. He's washing his hands. The whole time she's trying to distract him and talk to him. And I'm like, this dude, if he just simply turns around. Like usually when you're in a room and there's somebody in with you, you feel that. Like you feel this energy in the room. Like, like if you're in a haunted house, you feel it. When you're in a room with somebody, you feel it. And he obviously didn't feel it because he was like so anxious to probably go and, and have fun. And she's talking to him. So I'm staring at him, the back of his head, just praying he doesn't turn around. He walks out and they go in the room and I'm just like, oh shit, man. This is probably going to be an hour of me sitting in this tub. And I hear them talking. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever they're talking, like I'm dealing with my phone. I'm trying to make it silent and not vibrate and all these things. And then all of a sudden they stop talking. And I'm like, okay, I guess if they're not talking, they're letting their bodies do all the talking for them. So I'm sitting in there and I start texting my friend. I'm like, dude, you wouldn't believe what's happening right now. He's like, man, I'm going to screen grab this text conversation, post it all over Twitter. I'm like, do not fucking do that, asshole. And then I'm starting to think like, oh my God, my legs are falling asleep. What if I need to move and the tub is wet underneath me? It's going to make a sound. Then what crosses my mind is, what if he wants to take a shower afterwards? Like you would think he would want to take a shower afterwards. And I'm just like, man, this is going to be horrible because if he was so adamant about using the bathroom before, I would assume he'd be this adamant to use the bathroom after. Luckily, he's a dirty motherfucker. And as soon as he was done, he took off. He left. I'm sitting in there and I'm thinking, oh my God, this was like one of the craziest moments of my life. And then she comes in, she's like, come on out. And then we're sitting there just talking about it. And she goes, look, the whole time they were doing the thing, she's thinking, oh my God, this dude's going to want to take a shower afterwards. And this is going to be horrible. He didn't. And it was kind of cool. And I guess he was some guy from, one of the sports leagues. I'm not going to say which one. And he wasn't an athlete. I think he was like an executive or something. Just all all these politicians and these religious people and all these, man, they all buy girls. They're traveling. They want to travel so they could have their fun. And it is what it is. And I'm sure a lot of these family dynamics, they understand that like the wives have an agreement with men and with their husbands and so on. And maybe I imagine a lot don't know. And then when they're shocked by it, they shouldn't be shocked by it, especially for athletes who have all this energy, pent up energy. And and they're playing sports and they're out of town for weeks at a time. They just need to like let that energy go. And is it right? It's up to the couple to make that decision. It's not up to anybody else. It's adults doing adult things. I think prostitution should be legalized and it'll be a lot safer. But the fact that it's looked down on is kind of insane to me that there's so many other things in the world that are horrendous, and people are worried about two adults having sex for money. It's crazy. I always thought about starting a whorehouse with like super hot chicks playing plumber roles and just calling it a plumbing company. So that the girl shows up, she fixes your sink for $30, and then you tip her $1,000, and she's so happy that you tipped her $1,000, she bangs you for the $30 job. I guess it's the one way of getting away with it. But yeah, that was one of the crazier stories that that I have about being in a situation where you literally like thrown into it. It's like sometimes I feel like I just walked into a Tarantino movie and not expecting it, because I'm straight edge. I'm old fashioned, and then I'm in the industry where so much goes on, and I'm with people that do so many crazy things, and I wind up being part of them just because I'm friends with them, or I'm there to help them, or I'm co-workers with them. Another time, a girl called me up. This is another funny story, but this gives you an example of how these horny dudes throw money around to get their jollies off. It amazes me how much money people throw around, to get their dick wet, when they could be taking that money and giving it to a good cause. And maybe they are, and this is kind of like their play money. So I was editing one night, and I get a call from one of my friends, and she's like, "Hey, I need to go to Beverly Hills for a job. Do you want to drive me?" And I'm like, I got a lot of work. And she's all like, "Look, it's gonna take only like an hour and a half. Come to my house. I'll drive there. It's an hour. You wait, and I'll give you $300 cash." And I'm just like, whoa, is that how much drivers make? She's like, "Well, it depends on the job, And I'm like, damn, man, I should be changing careers. You can make that much money in a couple hours. That's in cash. That's insane. So I go to her house. Then we drive to this job, to her job, and it was crazy because like I wasn't. It was like actually during the winter, and it was cold. Sometimes LA gets pretty cold at night. So like we park by his house, and it's like a super nice area. So nice that there's like security cars just driving around the area. So I'm like, man, and I'm freezing because I'm in a car. I have to wait for an hour. It's freezing outside. I can't turn the car on to turn the heat on, because what would happen is when security drives by, they'd be like, "Why is that car on?" And it's just sitting there. It's pretty shady, right? And I'm sure they're not worried about like the driver for a hooker at one of the people's house. They're probably worried that this person could be like a thief or whatever else, or worse. So I'm just like, man, I can't turn the heat on. So I decide to go to McDonald's. There's a McDonald's like around the Brentwood area. I used to work in Brentwood years ago. So I'm like, I'm just going to drive to Brentwood and go to this McDonald's because I know they're going to have heaters inside. So I drive to McDonald's, and I'm inside, just like got some food and keeping warm. I'm just wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to go. So I drive back, and I text her. I'm like, I'm outside, and she's like, give me a little bit more time. And I'm like, fuck, man. So I just put the driver's seat down, so I'm like laying there so nobody could see if there's somebody sitting there. And I find some of her like her fucking like clothes from her hooker bag, and I just throw them on top of me just to keep warm. It was fucking freezing. And then I see her like running out of the house. I'm like, what the fuck? Did she just kill the guy? She just took off. What's going on? She gets in the car. She's like, oh my god. I'm like, what? She's all like, that was insane. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? What happened? She's like, that dude. She's all like, what do you mean do anything? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, the dude was doing a bunch of blow, and he wanted her to do coke with her. So she's like, like I'm not doing that anymore. So she's like, I kind of faked that I did a little bit, but the dude, and he was like in the medical field, like a pretty high paying medical field dude. So he had like a ton of money, and all he was doing was it was like almost like this scene in Boogie Nights where they're doing coke and they're listening to like 80s music, and that one little, was it like a Chinese like twink is running around in little shorts throwing firecrackers into the ground. I guess it was like I'm envisioning that kind of scenario, because as she's describing it to me, she's telling me this dude's doing coke and dancing, and all he's doing is like, she didn't get naked. She said she like put his wiener in her mouth for maybe like 30 seconds, and the rest of the time he was dancing and walking up to her and sticking $100 bills in all her clothes. Like she didn't even get naked. So she's sitting in the car telling me this story, and she's like talking really fast because she's like got so much energy. She's super excited, and she's pulling $100 bills out of like everywhere, like her panties, out of her bra, out of her like like the blouse or whatever the hell she was wearing. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And she's pulling each one out. She's counting. She's like, dun. And I think she wound up with over $4,000 in $100 bills. And and she's like, here you go. And I think she gave me like $400 or $500. She's like, here you go, man. Thanks so much. And we left, and we went and got some dinner, and that was insane. I'm like, holy shit. She's just like pulling money out everywhere. I'm like, God, this dude, man, seriously, So it makes you wonder, like who's doing what and where. Like that's why, like to me, it's like when people were like shitting all over Donald Trump for like buying a porn star escort. I'm like, why is that a big deal? He paid her how much? 150 grand to keep quiet? That's a hell of a rate, man. I don't understand. It's like she should be happy she made that much money, and she should keep it quiet, because then she'll get more work out of it. I don't get it. I mean, that like people are like, oh, he's this, he's sexist. Yes, he's sexist, but buying a hooker is not being sexist. It's being, and if you're married, it's being like just like a pig, like a horny pig. All the other things he's done is for sure he's sexist, but on that occasion, man, I can't blame him, because that's what people that are higher up do. That, man. Donald, some of the bigger athletes and politicians and people like that, they all do it. And I had a few people go like, well, he signed an NDA. He made her sign an NDA. No shit. That's good business practice. Any good celebrity has NDAs ready for these girls to sign, because you don't want to ruin your career over what, like having sex for money. If it wasn't such a taboo thing, nobody would need NDAs, because it's not a taboo thing. People make it a taboo thing. Like people are like, oh, hooker, prostitute, escort. So what? We all sell ourselves in one fashion or another for money. Whether we have a job we fucking hate or we work for somebody we hate. A lot of these escorts sound like they're into these dudes. They're doing it for money. So what's the difference? Like, think about it. If you could do it and nobody would ever know to judge you because you feel it's such a bad thing, would you do it for a couple of grand? Of course you would. Like that movie was An Indecent Proposal. $1 million? Fuck yeah. Go bang whoever you want for that $1 million. It doesn't matter. Let people call you whatever they want. You got $1 million on the bank. You could also call me a millionaire at the end of the day. I dated somebody who escorted, and there were plenty of stories. I think next time I'll probably share one that's horrific. And this is why, like, when I have friends who are thinking about escorting, I tell them the story. I tell them the good and bad about it, because they need to know. So they can make their decision, and when they're taking jobs, is this safe? Is this okay? But one of the funnier ones, or one of the interesting ones, and this is for all you guys who hire girls, maybe you could go through these certain steps to make sure that you are not kind of in this sensitive situation. So there was and I don't know, I think he still probably does it. There was this older guy in the adult industry who's got a big business, and he's pretty well known. He would hire girls, and he would like hire them on a cheaper rate. And all he would want, and like he's an older guy, so the girls weren't like really into him, but he wanted to make out with him. So my ex hated him. Like, she really, she would tell me stories of, because he would also very passive aggressive in certain things he would say to her about our relationship, about me, about her. And to pay him back, what she would do was, and if you want to close your ears because you don't want to hear too much information about myself or her, close them now. in 30 seconds, take the fingers out of your ears. But what she would do is he would come pick her up in a limo, and the first thing he always wanted to do was make out with her. She knew this because this was like his MO. So she would make sure she would give me a blowjob right before seeing him and not brush her teeth. Just leave it all in there. And then she would go, like, he would pull up, and sometimes he would pull up and be texting her and she's finishing up, and then she would go see him, and it would be kind of like our little inside joke because he was such a dick, and the only time I ever actually met him, or the first time I met him, we were going to AVN Awards, and we were standing in line. He decides to come up to her while I'm there with her, hugs her, which is like fine, and then tries to kiss her on the mouth, and she kind of pushes him away. And I look at him like, I'm not a fighter at all, and I'm not a jealous person, and it's one of those things like, you make yourself look like an asshole. I don't have to make you look like an asshole, and he made himself look like an asshole. And she pushed him away, and she looked at me, she goes, I'm sorry, and I'm like, nah, it's cool. I go, because him kissing you, he's already like, what, sucked my dick how many times? I mean, seriously, if we're gonna go like 6 degrees of separation, there's like 1 degree of mouth to penis separation here. So when he did that, I was angry, but all I thought about is like, hey man, this is why we do what we do when you come pick her up, you piece of shit. And I hear stories from other girls about this guy, and fuck him. He got what was coming his way. What happens is sometimes, of course, like in a hotel room, and then they'll just kind of like a revolving door type of thing. And this is why, like, I think a lot of, like, was it California, or I don't know if it's the United States, but I know in California, the hotels are kind of wary of situations like that. So when a single woman with a lot of luggage shows up to get a room, they question her, or she's put on radar, which is ridiculous to me, period, because you're renting the room and it's your room. You could do whatever you want. What if she has just lovers that come over and and have a good time with her? No one's business. It really is not. But this particular girl, she was in a hotel room, and she had a client coming over, and this guy, she opens the door, and it's this, like, the way she described him, he looked like a full-on cholo. Like I mean, he had like tattoos on his face, on his neck. He had a teardrop tattoo under his eye, and all he says to her was, "Let's fuck," and walks in, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm going to get killed." But the thing is, he was I guess a reliable client because he came with references. So I think she was just kind of freaked out by the look and the way he came in without like being very social and just saying "let's fuck" and walking in the room. So they they get in the room and they're doing whatever their spiel and things like that, and then when it's about to start, he can't. And he starts crying, about how much he loves his girlfriend. And she was kind of like thrown back by it because like he was coming off, like if you look in someone's exterior and their demeanor when they first walk in, she's thinking he's this hard-edged guy, and he probably is. But the reason he started crying was he kept saying he loves his woman. And then you just see that, you're like, man, no matter who you are, what you look like, and what hate you have in your heart for whatever, other people or somebody else, you also have love. And this man obviously really loved his woman, and that's all I guess he kept saying was like, I don't want to do this. I love my woman. And he asked her like if they could just lay there and cuddle. And she goes, I'd rather would have fucked than cuddle, because cuddling is just more intimate than just fucking, which is such a mechanical act, I'm sure, for a lot of the girls. It's interesting, because like, talking about like it being such a mechanical thing, man, these girls, man, they're like professional pussies. It's funny to me when guys like will hit me up on social media or email me. And they're like, "Hey, I want to get in the industry. I could tear it up. You know, like I'm really good at like banging chicks." And my response a lot of times is, "Do you understand? You'll be working with like professional pussy. Like these girls, their whole job is to like get you off as fast as possible in the easiest way possible for themselves. You know, so like a lot of the, I shouldn't say a lot. I know a couple of girls that if you hire them for an hour, they'll talk for 50 minutes, then 10 minutes or whatever, or they'll go really fast. Make sure you finish up really quick as well. And I don't think the guys mind because a lot of times for the guys, it's probably just the having that companionship for that hour, or even just getting away from the regular life to do something like this. Because I know girls who've like talked to a guy for an hour and nothing happened, and the guy is too shy to make the first move, and he feels too weird asking for more time, or if he wants more time, then he spends more money. So the girl has a win-win-win type of situation. And it's one of those things where it's a business, It's like, the girl is doing what she's doing and she's getting what she needs, and the guy's getting what he wants and what he feels like he needs at that time. And there's no losers. Everybody wins, and sometimes the guys just can't perform because they get nervous, especially if they hire somebody they're a fan of. Like flirting with somebody is one thing, or being ready to like go and hire them, but then being in the room with them, it's a different story, especially if it's like a porn star. You kind of, then you're just like, oh shit, now I got to perform with this professional pussy. I remember I was traveling with one. It was, I forgot if it was one of the conventions, because I've been to so many conventions with so many different people, or was it feature dance thing? I've probably been to about, I don't know, maybe like 40 or 50 feature dance gigs with probably a dozen or more girls. Same goes with conventions. So I just remember it was like a big hotel, and there was we were downstairs in the lobby, the girl and I, and as we were walking up to the room, she's like, "Oh, the client's here and he's down there." So we're in the room, and she's like, "Oh, he must be early." So we go to the room. I get a couple of my things. She's like, "Hey, you could leave and I'll text him." And I'm okay. So as I'm walking out and I'm walking down the hallway, he's walking towards me, and I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to make eye contact with him. I don't want to make him feel weird, So, and he was young. He was probably like I don't know, early 20s maybe. And he looks super like nervous. So he walks past me. I come like I'm turning around the corner towards the elevator, and I kind of look back, and he's there, and he's just kind of like almost like pacing back and forth, and and then he walks in, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna go to the lobby and like play video games on my phone or whatever. She literally texts me like 10-15 minutes later, and she's like, "You come back up." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" She's like, "He got really nervous and nothing happened, and he felt really bad. I guess he got really nervous. He got starstruck or whatever, and couldn't perform. He just didn't want to be around because he was embarrassed. He kept apologizing, and he left." And it happens, It's one of those things where a lot of guys talk until they get to that situation. Like I said, that professional pussy, man, that professional performer, man, they're gonna get you every time if they want to. Obviously, if they're having a good time and there's a connection, sure, the girl will have a good time. But if you come off like a douchebag, or she's not attracted to you, she's probably just gonna kind of like go through the motions and get it done, which is fine, because like most guys can't tell when the girl is faking it anyway. So what does it matter, right? That whole joke is like, how do you know when the girl's coming? Who cares? It's fucked up. That's it's like that male chauvinistic joke. And I'll tell you one more story, and we'll be done. Because I got a lot of stuff to do, but I wanted to do this podcast. I asked a bunch of people if they'd be interested in listening to some of my hooker stories, and every single person was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to hear it. A lot of people thought I was the hooker, and I was going to tell my hooker stories. No, not yet. We'll see when my medical bills come in, if I'm going to be, changing my careers. But going back to the professional pussy stories, I could actually tell this person's name because it's not a hooker story. It's a great like professional pussy. I'm gonna show you what the fuck I got going on story and yeah. Okay, so I used to be best friends with Jaden James. Her and I used to travel to all the feature dance. Every time she went on road feature dancing, I went with her. We had a lot of time. We had a lot of fun. My YouTube channel blew up because of her, because we had so many videos. She was such a good friend. She used to come to our studio and fucking clean the floors, like in the bathroom. She would clean our bathrooms. And that was the crazy thing. Is like I would stand there and I would be like looking at her and go, do you understand? Like we have Jaden motherfucking James cleaning our bathrooms. And she's looking at me like, you're a dick. And she would bring muffins. She would like make, was it the red velvet cupcakes? She would make red velvet cupcakes. She would bring them to the studio. We would all hang out. She would help us clean. She was like the fucking girl, you know, like she was awesome. She was fantastic. And so we would travel a lot. And in this particular time we were at Gold Club in Philly. I think that's where we were at. And so we were at this club, and this, you know, basically what happens is, so the girl does her shows, and then afterwards she does like a meet and greet. So she'll sit and sell merchandise, she'll sell pictures with a customer, and she'll sell lap dances. And porn stars usually have pretty high rates for lap dances. So, you know, not a lot of people get them, but, you know, it's better to have a higher rate because you're not going to get like, you know, $20 dudes who stink like fucking cum and butthole getting a lap dance from you. If you raise your rate higher, you're going to get higher quality clients. So we're, you know, so I usually will stand next to her or try to like, you know, like get guys to come and buy stuff from her. But the key thing is like when the girl is on stage dancing, she'll flirt with the guys, whatever, you know, like if there's some interaction, like, you know, they'll like squirt water on her or whatever else, those guys get like riled up. Now they want a lap dance from her. That's the whole point of a strip club, right? You know, like you rile the guy up and then you sell your lap dances. That's what you make a lot of your money. So there's one dude, we're selling merch, or she's selling merch, and he's just like talking all kinds of nonsense. Like he's like this total fucking douchebag from Philly, you know, like I'm not saying all dudes from Philly are douchebags, but he's the typical Philly douchebag. Just a shit talker. And I'm just like, oh my God, this dude. And she's looking at me, she's like, I got this, right? So he buys a lap dance. And a lap dance, like I said, it's one price per song. And it's a fucking hell of a price. Some guys get upset because they're not getting enough. You know, the song's like 2.5, 3 minutes, whatever, 4 minutes. And they're spending a shit ton of money. And they're like, oh, that wasn't enough. Well, this dude, so like usually what happens is I'll stand outside the lap dance room. Sometimes they'll let me actually stand right by the couch, which is really awkward. So I'm standing outside the lap dance room while she's in there. All of a sudden, this dude comes running out like after like 1 or 2 minutes and like leaves the club. And I'm like, oh my God, did he fucking do something to her? What's going on, right? But I know there's a guard inside, so I know nothing happened. So I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell happened? So she comes out and she's like, I'm like, hey, what happened? The dude just like took off running. And she's like, she's like, you know, I was so fed up with his big mouth. She's like, I just started grinding on him and he like instantly came in his pants. And he was so embarrassed. He gave her a tip and bounced. And this is why you get them to pay before they get the lap dance. One, because make sure we have the money, but also they don't run out like that. But yeah, he got to experience what real pussy, paid pussy is about. Like, you know, like she's a professional performer. Her job is to make you feel special, make you throw money at her, and you know, if it happens that you get pleased, you know, good for you. But a guy like that, who's a total douchebag and thought he had his shit handled, within a minute, less than a minute, his pants were filled with some sticky stuff and he had to run out the door. And that's what happened to a lot of these guys that would do all kinds of shit talking. Okay, one last story. This has nothing to do with anything about feature dancing or escorting, but it has something to do with like these guys being big mouths. When I was working at Anabolic, we got all these emails from different guys wanting to be in the industry. So one day, Or like, fuck it, this one dude, he was a guy from Houston. He sent us these pictures, like this ripped black dude with a big cock. We're like, cool. He wanted to call himself Mr. Pay-Per-View. So we're like, all right, okay, Mr. Pay-Per-View. Sue, who was a production manager and our boss, she flew him out. She actually paid for his plane flight, flew him out, and Jesse, our music guy, who's also like, part of the crew, went and picked him up from the airport. So he picks him up from the airport, and he's like texting us, yo, he doesn't look like nothing in his pictures. Like, he like catfished us. It's not really him. Mr. Pay-Per-View doesn't look like Mr. Pay-Per-View. And we're like, oh, fuck, seriously? So this dude shows up, and he is probably a foot shorter and a foot wider than what we thought he looked like from the pictures. So we're like, oh, this motherfucker, really? All right, well, we'll go through with it. And Sue was a ball buster. She was probably one of the toughest people I knew in the industry. One of the best camera people in the industry. I learned so much from her, how to shoot and how to like conduct myself on set and all kinds of things. But she was a tough son of a gun, man. She would talk shit to me. She would talk shit to anybody. She was this tiny little woman with a firecracker of an attitude, right? So now she's pissed. So the next day we're gonna shoot. We hired this female performer, to do a BJ with him, and this performer is super cool. I've shot her a bunch of times. Amazing performer, really down to earth, a team player. I mean, she was willing to come in and like do a blowjob with this dude, So the dude, this is so good. He comes to the studio, and it wasn't even a studio; it was at our office, And he walks in and with his luggage, like he's literally holding on to his luggage, like we're gonna steal his shit. Like, come on, man, seriously. And he goes to Sue. He goes, "Where's the script?" And she's like, "What script?" And he goes, "Don't I get a script?" And he goes, and she's like, "Yeah, your script is you're gonna pull your dick out. She's gonna suck your dick, and you're gonna cum on her face." There's your script. And he's like thrown for a loop. He's just like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, get ready. We're like, cool. He takes his whole luggage, like his roll around luggage, to the bathroom. We're like, what is this dude doing? He's gonna pull out a gun and like blast us all? And what is going on with this guy? So he comes back, and Cassidy's like sitting in this chair, and the scene's just gonna happen, or whatever you want to call it. And it's like all the directors. It was myself, Tony T. I don't know if there was Jesse was there, maybe one more other person, and Sue. And Sue was doing the camera work. She was the director for that day, and we were just her crew. We're hanging out watching this train wreck happen. So this guy walks out, and he's just standing there, and Sue's like, "Go ahead." And he's like, "Well, do you want me to say anything?" And she goes, "No, pull out your dick and let her suck your dick." So he's super nervous because now he's got like this tiny little woman with a camera like fucking just blasting him. He's got dudes behind her watching him, and he's got this hot ass porn star who's about to like go down on him. And so he's standing and he pulls his pants down. We're like, oh man, this guy's definitely not Mr. Pay-Per-View. Definitely not. She starts doing her thing. And he's struggling, and then he's okay, and then he looks at Sue and he goes, "Can I like fuck her a little bit to like get hard?" And she's like, "No, she didn't get paid to get fucked or touched. Like, no, that's not going to happen." And the girl was just like, she's kind of getting fed up with it. She's all like, "Well, you could play with my titties, And so he's like rubbing on her boobs, and he's just struggling, right? And then we get enough footage, between like stops and goes, and we get enough footage. And usually when I shoot, and I usually shoot guys that I know, the male performers, and I would look at him and I would like wink or like nod my head, and which means, pop it whenever you're ready, whatever you have to do, let's get it done. So he doesn't understand the body language direction. So she just says to him, she goes, "Go ahead, come." And he looks at her, he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Come, like we're ready for a pop shot." And again, he's thrown for a loop. So now he starts like jerking himself off. but he's like going slow. He's going like he's just trying to make himself feel good. like he's like, it's like foreplay touching. We're just like, what is he doing? And she stops and she's like, hey man, can you like pick up the pace and come already? Because it's been a while. and then the poor girl is sitting in this chair like looking at her like, are you serious? Am I going to get paid overtime for this? So he finally finishes. And we're just like, wow, that was amazing. That footage never went anywhere. But I was going through my hard drive and I found pictures from it. I can't use it, like I don't want to like put this guy on blast or anything like that. I mean, he was just like clueless, and like a lot of the guys who think that they could do it. Anyways, we're done. She did a great job. She probably got, like, we always would give girls extra if they did a good job or they were a good sport about the situation. And he went back to Houston. Few weeks later, we get an email from him, and he's all like, hey, thank you so much for that experience. If you guys need a contract guy, I'm ready to sign a contract with you guys. I'm ready to come back and be Mr. Pay-Per-View for you. We're just like, this man is so clueless and so ridiculous that this is what he's like. And I'm sure a lot of the guys are like that. A lot of guys at least would get a reality check, be like, oh shit, I need to like really get back into my bubble. Not him. That dude was like ready to go. And yeah, we obviously never got back to him, or we never brought him back out. But that was a funny story. So I hope you were entertained by this. Remember, my podcast channel is kingslivan.com. I'm putting video versions of some of these podcasts, some of the fun stuff with video clips and pictures on kingslavantv.com, which is a link to my YouTube channel with all these podcasts and all these clips. So please subscribe. I know there's a subscribe button on kingslivan.com, and let people know, because I'm trying to do this, entertain people, and share some stories. People have told me to write a book. I don't have time to write a book. I'm not that good of a writer, but a podcast is an easy way to share stories, keep people entertained, inform people, warn people, and just have a good time. And especially during this quarantine and all this horrible times in the world and things like that. Hopefully this will keep you a little bit on up and up and have a good time and enjoy these stories, and maybe share the stories, and hopefully share this podcast. And as you could tell from the previous ones, my energy was down because I was still going through a lot of my issues. I still have 2 podcasts to post from the hospital room about everything that happened to me leading up to everything that's going on with my leg and almost dying and kidney failure, all that stuff. But for now, these are going to be more positive, more entertaining, and I have some really cool people coming on the podcast that you'll really love to hear stories from. So that's it. kingslivan.com. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.
Dr. Doglickin! Yeah! Come on! 805! Fucking house parties! Keg stands! They say that I'm the baddest from the hood of Calabasas. My mama's rich, daddy's rich. Hope they die up quick, I'm getting paid. Truck some baby lamping in the shade. Shade is where I'm lamping. House up in the Hamptons. Ain't no fear, no black guys here, so white girls always dancing. They shake, shake, then stop like some turbo brakes. We take them out they Hondas, the chauffeurs and some guava. Go have dinner with Michelle and Barack Obama. My Jeffrey Dahmer, Mike Osama, John Connor, Anaconda. Fuck your baby mamas and the baby bastard drama. That baby don't look like me, so I ain't the father. Don't bother DNA shit, Maury Povich, bitch, nah.